So, Fernando, we have the UXAI conference or summit or whatever adverb you want to put behind it. I guess it's an adverb. I don't know. I was never good at English. It's coming up on September 12th over here at the PACC in downtown Waco. I think it's 10002 Austin or something like that. It's right in that 1000 block. This has grown into something that I don't think either one of you or I foresaw. Like we were thinking, let's put on a summit, where we get some people together and they talk about AI and how they're using it and agentic type stuff. And but it's grown into kind of a catch-all for AI topics that I don't know about you, but it has sucked me in hard. And,
oh, totally.
Oh, and I am building like crazy.
Oh, okay. So in other words, the looming date has kind of spurred you to take action?
Well, the thing is, what I wanted to do is I wanted to put on a workshop, basically, a presentation workshop that I could go over actual projects I was working on.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I was more interested in showing the failures and how I got around them than I was with the successes.
Yeah.
Successes, I can dress up a pig and it's still a pig, right?
Yeah.
But it can look great for the pageant.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've had that conversation with some other folks that let's make it work and then we'll make it pretty, because pretty we can do anytime.
Right. Right, and we could have gotten like talking heads, people who are like make a living talking about this kind of stuff, but they're not in the trenches.
No, I think we're getting the actual workers that are using AI, not in the Google searched kind of way. We're not using these as chatbots.
No,
however, I have started doing that as well. But we're really talking to professional coding teams is what we're doing. We're developing products from throughout the entire life cycle of software.
Yeah.
So I would assume that when people talk about this online, they talk about it as SaaS, so software as a service. And I guess that's what we're talking about, but I really kind of think this is almost a new category.
Well, there is actually a new category called SaaS, service as software, right?
We need a couple more ASs
whatever you do as a service, whether you're, designing something or whether, I don't want to say that we're going to replace designers or anything, but whatever's the service, you deliver it as software. So anyway, I'll interrupted you.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
So I think that what I would love to talk to you about today is just kind of some of the stuff we've been working on.
Absolutely. Why don't you start? Tell us about what you've been working on.
I just told you this morning that about 10:45, my wife had to peel me off of the computer last night because I had a city council meeting that I went to, and after that, I went home and just straight to the computer, started working on some stuff. I've built some things I'm really proud of, honestly.
Right.
Running Rogue Media or being a part of Rogue Media. I don't really run the day-to-day anymore. Josh does most of that for me and does a great job. But I felt like we have some inadequacies that keep us from growing. One of those is communication. Mm-hmm. And so what better way for everyone who's kind of all over the place, because we've got people in one locale, and then we're in this one, and then we've got an office up in the Alico and different places, and then we've got people all over the country that do shows. And so I thought, what better way than to develop an online dashboard of sorts where they could go exchange information, put in task orders, put in, I need toilet paper, whatever, that kind of stuff, the simple, mundane thing. So
you're scratching your own itch.
Yes, that's absolutely right. I'm eating my own dog food, or whatever, however you want to say that. And as I worked on that, I got the bug and started working on 46 different projects. I would say that has been my biggest thing, is learning when to stop. If I have 14 things that I need to work on, I get that paralysis by analysis thing. where I start thinking,
Yeah.
oh, this project could be better, but what if I did this or what if I did that? And then all of a sudden I've got 5 more projects instead of finishing the one I sat down to work on.
So this is kind of like the proverbial, you're working in your garage, but, updated to 2026. So, but what about there's so many different softwares out there off the shelf that you could probably buy or get or rent, et cetera, to do this. Why are you building your own?
Okay, so this is the way that I think of it. I think of death by 1,000 cuts, right? I think when you buy let's say a CRM, right, or a CS, whatever, customer service, whatever. Let's say you buy something to put your stuff in and keep your team, like a Blackboard or a whatever.
Yeah, some kind of like a project management.
Yes, project management. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So let's say you do something like that. It probably does 45, 50 things, right? I need 2 of those things. And so what I'm doing is I'm going through these pieces of software that we're currently paying $20 here, $20 there, and I'm trying to eliminate them by pulling them all in-house.
Right.
If I can write pieces of software that will do these one little thing for us, that will do these one little things, I don't know how to phrase that, then I feel like that's a win, right? And it may only be $20 here and $20 there, but it adds up.
But it all adds up.
It adds up quick.
$200, $300.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'd rather put the money in tokens than I would in another piece of software.
Yeah, right.
So I was telling you earlier that one thing that I realized in the last few days is when I'm telling people about these projects, I need to watch their reaction. When I tell people about this thing I'm working on, they'll be like, "Oh man, that's so cool!" Blah 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 blah. That's one reaction, and then I tell them about another thing I'm working on, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." What I have learned is the boring one should win.
That's the winner.
That is the winner. The boring work is going to win every time because the boring work is solving a real world problem.
Yeah.
And so that I've told my wife also, I'm like, when you come across real world problems that you need to solve, tell me about them. Let me see if I can work out and find a way to fix that.
Well, there's another way that I want to put this, if you don't mind me rephrasing
please,
this.
go for it.
It used to be, and I think I read about this in an article recently that talked about how, now in the AI age, we don't have to worry about the how. So for all our lives, they were said, go to college so you can learn how to be a doctor, how to be a lawyer, how to be an accountant, how to be whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then you had to apply your how to help somebody else build their business. Or you might want to go off and get into business for yourself, and you maybe know how to do one part of it, but you had to hire other people to do the other parts. Now the mindset is, and I like to see it as before 2022 when ChatGPT came out in November, and then after 22, like the BC and the AD, right? But now it's not, you don't have to think about how anymore because the AI can take care of the how.
Yeah.
Now it's the what, right? So what do you want to do, right?
Right.
What's the world is your canvas, your imagination can run wild and do the how. You can outsource the how to AI, the agents, right? And now you just have to think about the what, right?
Yeah, the what is very important because otherwise, you like me, you have 14 projects open at one time, and then you're borrowing from Claude to pay Codex and borrowing from Codex to pay Claude, and so what I'll do is I work in 3 to 4 different tools at all times.
Right.
So I'll work in Claude until I see I'm going to hit a wall or it's working diligently on something. I'll go over to Codex.
Codex is ChatGPT's new.
It's OpenAI. It's their code. And honestly, for my money, right this second, it's been the best for me.
Right.
And I think I was telling you earlier that the reason it's the best for me is it can control things on my computer a little better.
Yeah.
So once I tell it yes for something, because you always have to approve.
Right.
Then it'll kind of run with things. And I don't let it just do things willy-nilly.
Yeah.
But if it wants to move a file from here to there, I want it to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things with domains and DNS records and stuff over the last couple
of weeks. Are you one
of
those domain collector kind of people?
I may be a junkie, just trying to show up at your door and go, you got any more of those domains? That kind of,
Domain hoarder.
I was telling you and your guest earlier that I took about a week off here, and I think I bought 20-something domains that week. Figured out where I can get them for $1. So that was great.
Right.
But then I also made a tool that would help me search for domains.
Right.
Because that's always a thing too. You're limited by what you can think of to type in. Well, here's a combination of words. Find me a great bunch of domains.
And you made that tool with AI. Obviously.
Yes. The problem is that they will lie to you. You have to specifically say, only give me truthful information.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll say, here's a bunch of great domains, and it'll give you a big list, and you start looking through them, and you're like, all of these are taken. I can't use Xerox.com, or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have to be very explicit with it in your instructions.
All right. Well, listen, let's get to the summit a little bit. Let's talk about how this whole idea started. I think I was visiting you because I was, looking at the Rogue Media Studios, and I think I came up with, I said, hey, why don't we start a summit together, right?
Yeah.
What made you decide to jump in and kind of take on this crazy idea of the summit with me?
Well, it's probably not the answer you're looking for, but the answer is I've never done it before, so let's do it. And that's honestly, that's been my take on a lot of things throughout my life. Now, some of them worked out great, and some of them have worked out terribly.
Well, I think it worked out pretty good here with Rogue Media.
It's working, yes, and we're moving forward. I don't ever like to say it's going great because I feel like I'm going to jinx it, or whatever. Yeah. But we're doing fine right now. But I've always been the person that runs into a flaming building, and figures out what we can get out, and that sort of thing. And then I worry about the exit. And so on something like this, we had done a lot of live shows and things. We've never done a conference. And so I said, what the heck, let's throw a conference and see what we can do. And then, like I say, it's kind of grown and grown and grown. Mm-hmm. And now I think we've got something we're going to be very proud of at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're going to have great speakers, and I think it kind of goes with you and I think you and I kind of have an equal sort of, I don't know if the right word is disdain or mistrust of like the guru speaker, the speaker who's going to come and that they make money as a professional speaker talking about AI, but they've never sat down to build an app. They've never sat down to try and solve a problem that they go through every day. And I think what we wanted to do with this is to get real practitioners, right? And I think that's what a lot of people are going to learn. They're going to learn from some power users, a couple of Baylor students who have come here. They're starting a company.
Yeah.
They come here from overseas.
Yeah.
And they went through the trials and tribulations of having to apply to an American university, coming from one of the ex-Soviet republics, and now they're pouring that into an AI startup. We have
what a great story, though.
I know, I love that story.
Yeah.
And then we have Hope Cook, who is a professor at Baylor. Yeah. Who is, she's kind of like on the bleeding edge of using AI.
She might be kind of smart.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that or not, but yeah, she might be kind of smart.
I noticed that. I noticed that.
Okay, good.
And then we have Kenesha Thornton, who is
Kenesha, my buddy.
Media personality here at KWBU. Yeah. Sarah Losi. Then we have a couple people come. There's a guy from St. Louis who's coming, Russ Hannaberry. Yeah. He actually was the right-hand man for Ryan Dice. If anybody's been in marketing, Ryan Dice, head of digitalmarketer.com. Well, his right-hand man was Russ Hannaberry, and he started a thing called the Click.ai, which is basically a community, a cohort, where he and all the people who are members are building apps in real time using Claude Code, Claude Cowork, et cetera. He's going to come and talk about it. Andrew Lane, he was one of the first people who was involved with AI even before ChatGPT came out. He was like the director of marketing for Copy.ai, right? So there was Copy.ai, there was Ask Jeeves, there was a couple of others that were like, the first content writers, and then ChatGPT came and kind of tore the market out from underneath them. But he's coming, and what he's doing a lot is he's working with building complete brands using AI, right? So he's going to come and give a workshop on how a company can build a complete brand identity.
That's super cool.
Et cetera. So there's going to be a lot of really good workshops. And obviously you're going to talk about how you're running Rogue Media and all the stuff that you're building on.
Yeah, there's quite a few things. We're going to talk about agents. We're going to talk about sub-agents. We're going to talk about second brain systems. We're going to talk about utilizing the platforms to get the most out of them. There's some tips, tricks, prompts, there's just everything that I want to go over all of my findings so that I hope that I can inspire at least one person to get over the hump and build something beautiful. I got to say, sometimes it's a little bit of a reality check also. Mm-hmm. When you build these things, you build this thing and you're like, man, I did a good job. That thing looks great, right?
Right.
And then you realize, well, I built it, number one, but you had great intentions and you had an eye for what to keep and what not to. And then I'll go over to Reddit in some of those subreddits and see some of the stuff that's being built out there. And I'm like, oh man, I stink. I need to build much better things.
Well, but here's the thing that I wanted to say, and this was kind of like the inspiration for the focus of the UX/AI Summit.
Yeah.
So I've been developing this framework, and I'm gonna introduce it in my talk at the summit. It's called the Viral Genius Framework, right?
Okay.
And the Viral Genius takes the concept that sort of the TED Talks,
Mm-hmm.
TEDx Talks kind of came up with, ideas that spread, right?
Right.
But the concept is each one of the 8 billion people on the planet has their own unique zone of genius. We have creator entrepreneurs, solopreneurs and freelancers and small business owners, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Each one of us has its own unique zone of genius, right? Yeah. Which makes us different from everybody else. So even if you found those people on Reddit who are doing it so much better, but what they don't have is that combination of your unique history, sure. Where you've fallen down, sure. How you dusted yourself up and brought yourself up again, et cetera. Yeah. And you pour that into out into the world, and the AI just amplifies that if you do it the right way.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's the way that you have to approach this. This is your unique tool.
Yeah.
Right. And if you do it the right way, which is have it find out about you. Which is not nearly as ominous as it sounds, then you can get some specialized stuff done. I thought it was a weakness at first that it knew everything about me and it kept all these things in memory, but it really is not. I've had to find new ways to work, new ways to organize, new ways to do things. And so I'm very excited about it. I said that I talk to it now.
Yeah.
What I'm trying is for 30 days, I'm going to use it as my assistant. Tell it everything I'm doing. I get in the car, I turn it on, and I tell it where I'm going and what I'm doing and all this, and I have it check my calendar. Well, we've gone back and forth, and it does misremember things sometimes.
Right.
Also, Claude, not great at dates and times, is what I found out.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I think I've figured out a way to keep that going.
Uh-huh.
And so, it's just a lot of things like that. And then I've got a small stock portfolio that I've been letting it manage. Mm-hmm. And so,
how's it been doing with that?
Every morning, it does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Every morning, it sends me like a briefing at 6:30, mm-hmm. and so I go over it and I send it some screenshots of where we're sitting, and then it'll tell me, okay, when the bell rings, we're going to do this, and blah blah blah. And I still use Robinhood because I'm lazy, and it has an agentic portion on Robinhood.
Yeah.
So Claude can literally go in and do the trading for me.
Huh.
So it's pretty amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a few more speakers that I wanted to mention. Jermaine Malcolm over here at Startup Waco.
Yeah.
Jermaine, he kind of focuses on
what a nice guy.
On helping smaller communities develop do economic development using AI, right? And so I think that's very appropriate being here in Waco.
Agreed.
Nikolai Martinez, who is the director of operations over there at Startup Waco.
Yeah.
He is known as the Iceman, I think, because he has an ice business, right? He also is very AI forward, and so he's going to be one of the speakers.
Yeah.
And I think then I'm going to talk about what I'm doing, and what I'm doing is I'm working with clients, right? So I'm a marketing. I'm building a marketing agency. I'm working with clients. I've had AI build websites. I've had AI build up workflows and calendars and deliverables for my clients. And what I'm really doing is I'm kind of sparring back and forth on this new working model, the Viral Genius framework, which I'm going to get into in a little bit more detail. But there's the whole concept of building a business based on you. And yesterday on LinkedIn, I saw a post by Joe Polizzi. Joe Polizzi, if you don't know him, he's the founder of the Content Marketing Institute, which he then sold in 2016 for about $28 million. So we had a pretty good, that's life-changing money, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
And the way he built the business is kind of the way people can start building businesses today. And he did this pre-AI. So what he did was he started building a blog, right? contentmarketinginstitute.com. And then he as a result of the blog being right on the cusp of this new movement called content marketing.
Yeah.
And then he built a conference on top of that. Then he built a physical magazine. Then he bought a conference. And he built a whole media company. Mm-hmm. And then he sold it, right? But what he said was the big lesson and the danger of building a business based on your content is that people come in because of the content, but they stay because they want access to you. Yeah. And so he realized he built himself a job that he couldn't get out of. Yeah. And so what he did, and this is real smart, is he figured out how to turn his employees. Now it used to be just you with Rogue Media Networks, absolutely. And then you have a bunch of people that are helping you. Yeah. What he did was he got people to help him with the Content Marketing Institute, and then he turned all of them into stars and into, they carried the intellectual property with them. And then finally he was able to sell it so that he wasn't the bottleneck. So what I'm trying to say, long story short, is you become the product in the age of AI, right? Mm-hmm. But there's the danger of when you do that, then people, all they want is access to you. And how do you duplicate yourself? How do you infuse your DNA into the company? Steve Jobs did that perfectly. Yeah. He was, his taste, his focus on beauty and on user interface and on everything being perfect, it carries on into Apple today, all mm-hmm. Apple products 15 years after his death, right? And so that's kind of like what we have to figure out with AI. We use AI to kind of duplicate who we are. Then we might get into this situation where people only want is access to us, but then we say, no, it's not just me. It's the people, it's the AI, it's the intellectual property.
When we first started talking about this conference, we had a couple of names in mind that we wanted to reach out to, and I know one of them, this lady actually duplicated herself, and she uses that.
Julia McCoy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not sure that's the answer, though. You know, because I think you lose the humanity part of it. Yeah. And like you say, they want access to you, and I think you're cutting that out from the get-go. Yeah. You know? I just don't know that we're there yet.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. She uses HeyGen to do very realistic-looking videos of her. Yeah. But there's still something that you like.
Yeah. It's very hard to put your finger on sometimes. Yeah. It's maybe it's a blink, maybe it's a little bit of a, whenever you turn your head or whatever, anything like that.
Or the way they move the arms or something.
Yeah, it could be any of those things. And I think as humans, we'll possibly be able to tell for a long time. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to get to a point where we can't tell, because it definitely will. But this is... I was talking to so again, city council meeting last night, and I was talking to, we have a surgeon who is on our council board, and I was talking to her afterwards. I said, I was asking her what she does and things like that. She said she's she's big on research. She's at a teaching hospital, right? And so we were talking about what it is she does, and I said, well, is AI come in? And oh my God, she exploded. Because she was like, yes, for deep research and medical discoveries and things like that, it has been such a life changer. She said that, we can get things done in a couple of days that would have taken years and years of research to do. Yeah. Because we've got access to all of humanity's thinking ever, you know? Mm-hmm. And so she was very excited about it. And we also talked about, the bad side with data centers and things like that. And I was asking, I'm new to the council, so I was asking, has any of them come here and said, we'd like to put one here? And she said, no, because we're kind of locked where we're at. But a little city right down the road here has definitely been visited by data centers, and there's a big one going up there, and I think maybe two. And I know that everyone was very concerned about the water usage and things like that. But then when you start reading it, then you realize, okay, that's the baited headline. Mm-hmm. The real part of it is, yes, they will need some water to begin with, but then they're going to recycle everything. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. And so I think if we, now, maybe the first time ever if we hold these corporations to account, that I think we'll be fine.
Which is important, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's super important. I don't
Yeah.
know that we've got the government officials to do it, but we'll see. We'll see.
So to close here, Mike, tell us a little bit about the venue. I know it's right next door here to
It
the
is. It's right next door. You can literally walk out the back door here and right into their stage. Yeah.
Right. It's a very nice kind of community feeling place, right?
It is. Yeah. David Corkle, who runs the PACC there, a good friend who has let us do some really stupid things there, and so this is one he can be proud of. He's not done any conferences there either, so it's great. They just put in a second stage in the back. They call it the Backpack, which is honestly it's pretty good.
Yeah.
As a dad, I would say it's a good joke.
Good branding.
So we'll have two stages: the main stage and the Backpack, and then we'll have workshop rooms. And you and I had talked about, when we get down to actually planning the day, which that is very soon coming, we need to start thinking about rooms here that we could also use as workshop rooms or, breakout rooms and things like that. So I think we're looking at a venue that is a great place for the first one. And hopefully this thing kicks off and does real well. If it does, the next one we'll find a place that holds double.
We're talking about the next one already. Oh,
yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the one thing that I want people to leave the conference with, talking about the workshops, is that I think you and I are on the same mind of this, that people should leave here with either having a project started or completed, or at least the knowledge of how to get it started or completed, because the practical hands-on aspect of it.
Absolutely. I want them to leave with something in their brain and something in their hands, know? And so I think we've got plenty of people that will provide that for them. The one we didn't talk about was we've got Katie Selman, who used to work for Anthropic at one point. She'll be here doing a workshop, and I'm excited about that one as well, because I know Katie Selman from local things, and I've worked with her in music areas and things like that, creative areas. Never seen her at work, so I want to see how she is. I can imagine that she's tough.
Perfect.
So I'm looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah, and then finally Sarah Losi, who I don't think we've mentioned.
Sarah's great. Sarah runs Favorite Daughter Media. She is in Austin. I think she's doing a couple other things also at this point. But Sarah's someone I met through another friend who. So I used to go to these podcast conferences and stuff, and I'm still going to go to several more. But I met a guy there named Larry Roberts. Runs Red Hat Media, who Larry's been sick, and we're thinking about you, Larry. I hope everything turns out great. He was going to be on the panel and speak, but he and Sarah used to run a company together called Branded. They did a podcast, and they did a book and a system that they would take to these things and talk about branding for your podcast and branding for whatever else. Sarah has a history of going into businesses and doing B2B podcasts.
Wow.
So either internal shows for, like say you're a Dell or somebody who wants to have a podcast just within Dell.
Yeah, that's a thing.
That sort of thing, because nobody reads newsletters, nobody reads memos, things like that within a company at the very least. And so, this is something that you could just put on in the background and listen while you're working or whatever. So she's done a lot of those, which is great, because there's some decent money in that as far as podcasting goes. And she's written a couple of books, and I'm looking forward to her take on, in this age of AI where everything's kind of plastic looking, how do we brand ourselves and how do we differentiate ourselves from others?
That's perfect. Yeah, she talks about storytelling and your unique voice, et cetera. I'm really excited to have her as a speaker. Yeah. Mike, thank you so much for joining me in this, this talk was all over the place, but I think that kind of goes to the essence of what this is.
It really does, man. We are, if you think you're too late to get into AI, you are not, because it's about 5% of the population total that's using this the right way right now.
Yeah.
Everybody else is kind of using it as a chatbot, and hopefully that's not where it ends.
Yeah.
I think we're right on the cusp of something.
Yeah.
Something big.
All right, and so sign up. You go to youxai.live.
Yep.
And it's on Saturday, the 12th of September, all day from 8 to 5 p.m. And there's going to be parties later on.
Yeah, and then we'll have like an after party down the street here at Cultivate or at Startup or someplace like that. And I think it'll be a good time for everybody. And this is a little taste of a much larger thing in the future. And so I'm looking forward to meeting those people that have just started or want to get started. And I want to tell them, make sure you take a left up at the store there, not a right or whatever, that kind of thing, so that hopefully they can avoid a few pitfalls.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely.
All right.